What's up guys, my name is Andrew and welcome to Motorcycles Off-Road. This Friday's video is going to be all about the Tenere 700. I'm going to break down this motorcycle's stats, my experiences with this motorcycle, and my personal opinions about it. My goal after you watch this video is that you should have a better idea if this motorcycle is perfect for you. So let's get into it. So some backstory, I picked up the Tenere around August of last year, 2021. At that time, I've put over 1,500 miles or 2,400 kilometers. I took it for a 4-day moto camping trip, as well as ran it through many different types of terrain. I would have to say, overall, I love this motorcycle. But just like anything else in life, nothing is perfect. But that being said, this is one of the good ones. For people that don't know, let's really quickly go over some of the specs. Tenere sports a fuel-injected 689cc liquid-cooled parallel twin. It's fitted with a 6-speed transmission, a 4.2 gallon gas tank, and it's coming in at a weight of 452 pounds or 205 kilograms wet. The seat height is roughly 34 inches or 870 millimeters, which comes with a caveat. We'll have to talk about that later in the video. The US MSRP on the year that I bought the bike, 2021, was $9,999, but the 2022 models come in with a $300 bigger price tag, as well as a different sticker kit. Firstly, I have to say, for what you're getting for the price is really amazing in my opinion. Compared to other adventure bike offerings, this is one of the best priced motorcycles. The only other modern bike I could say on the market that can be close to its value would be the KLR 650, but I will tell you this bike is a completely different thing than the KLR 650. And I know a lot of people love that bike, but there's a night and day difference between the two. Also, in my opinion, this is the closest adventure bike you can get to an actual dual sport. I mean, if you just look at it side by side with something like the WR250, all you need is a high fender kit, and you basically have the WR's big brother. On a side note, if you don't know, Yamaha has taken the WR out of production. I was actually riding one last weekend so that I can make a comparison video between the 300L and the WR250, so I will pin that video if it's out in the comments below. But honestly, I hope that Yamaha comes out with a smaller version of the T7 to compete with the 300s in the market, keep the same ergonomics as the T7, maybe call it a mini Tenere or a T3. That would be awesome. I also did a whole video on that topic, and I'll be one of the first ones to buy that motorcycle. Okay, so let's talk about road use. On the road, I would have to say the Tenere is a pleasure to ride. It feels very nimble on turns. You can lean this bike all the way over. It's very flickable, as in it feels like a dual sport on the road. The upright seating position is awesome, and you have the power that at any point you can overtake any vehicle that's in your path. The balanced twin engine feels amazing. You feel little to no engine vibration, and coming from my last adventure type bike, which was the KTM LC4 640, which is now known as the 690, that giant thumper really made me numb after rides. You don't get any of that with the T7. For this particular bike, I like to ride a lot of 2-up on adventures with my girlfriend, and I really love how you can adjust the preload right underneath the seat. It's just a little knob, so basically when you want to ride all packed up with gear, or you want someone on the back, you just spin this knob however many clicks to the desired preload, and then when you go to unloaded, you can just spin it back that many clicks. At any time you feel like it's not perfect, you could just hop off the bike and simply tighten or loosen it as you see fit. fit. I love this toolless system. It is very convenient. And dampening, rebound, etc. is also on the front, so that you can really dial this bike in to your specific needs. As with most stock bikes, the seat will leave you desiring more cushion. I have decided to take off the stock seat cover, put in a gel insert because I wanted to add a heated seat pad anyway to try to extend my riding season. The display is nice and bright in all conditions, and it has the basics covered, but it also has everything you need. I like the fuel gauge, the gear indicator, the tachometer. I know most adventure bikes have all this and more, but me coming from riding mostly dual sports, there's not many out there that have this besides like the Honda 300L. And once you have these features on your display, you really don't like to go back. The stock tires are amazing on road, but with lots of bikes out there, they leave much more to desire off-road. Though I think most people with this bike, they're going to mostly ride it on the road for touring and light gravel trails, in which case the stock tires will be completely fine. They are Pirelli Scorpions, and they do pretty well. My one gripe on road is the windscreen. I don't get this. I don't see why they just can't make the windscreen a bit taller. I mean, it would have cost like, what, a couple more dollars if you could make the windscreen like 8 centimeters taller. The problem is that any normal sized person that sits on this motorcycle, the buffering is going to hit right at your ear level, right at your helmet level, and it's very annoying. I see some people online, they add extensions that they can clip up and down. I don't really like the look of that because it's right in my view, and I found for a good price I got a whole windscreen that is taller. It's not too expensive and it's not too noticeable, but yeah, it completely fixes the problem altogether. If you do have the Tenere and you're looking for that, or you plan on getting something like that, I will link my Amazon store below so you can check it out. A few other things to mention: the bike comes stock with a nice 12-volt charging port. The only issue I had with this was the stock fuse was only 2.5 amps, and I replaced it with a 5 amp, and now I can actually charge stuff without having any issues. Lastly, on the road, I would have to mention the headlight. Man, this thing is awesome. It's really like 6 bulbs in one: 2 low beam, 2 high beam, and 2 running lights. And the low beam and high beam are really bright. What I did was I replaced my blinkers for like an always on LED blinker. And when this lighting setup, it really gives you a road presence. People should have no problem seeing you, as well as you have no problems lighting your path. So for Tenere, this is a huge plus. And I see tons of people put like protection, that's big steel grating on the front of these. I kind of don't like that because I feel like it takes away from how well these lights actually work. So what I do is I put some vinyl shrink wrap on it, and then every couple months or so, I just put another piece right on the front, like a vinyl wrap, just to add extra strength. And I haven't actually heard of anybody breaking these, but I do know a lot of people are worried about it because of how expensive they are. So for me, this gives me a little extra peace of mind. Guys, I hope you liked the video so far, and if you do like the video, please support the channel by subscribing and turning the bell on. We're coming up on 1 year of having this channel, and I would like to move forward with over 10,000 of you amazing people who have been supporting, commenting, and liking the videos. You guys have been awesome. I really hope to keep moving forward, and I'm very grateful. So if you're not subscribed, please subscribe and turn on notifications. So next, guys, we're going to move into the off-road section, so stay tuned. Off-road. So as I said before, this is one of the closest adventure bikes you can get to a true dirt bike. I truly believe that's true. Now granted, if you had proper tires, you could take this bike just about anywhere. As Paul Torres has shown us, the only limitations of this bike are the rider. Now, riding the Tenere 700 off-road, you could really get a reality check on your personal skill set. I would say it took me about 600 miles on the bike before I felt safe. No, you know what? Let me rephrase that. Before I felt completely confident on my skills on this new motorcycle. Most of the bikes I ride are dual sports, so of course with that dual sport mentality, I'm going to try to take this bike through everything I try to take the dual sports through, and at first it's pretty challenging. So it just has to be said, this is not by any means a beginner motorcycle. Now you could get by with this as a beginner motorcycle if you strictly took it on the road, but off-road's a different story. And also, let me give you some things to think about. I'm sure you've seen or you heard the Tenere has a super high countershaft, which gives you the feeling of pressing the back tire into the ground under throttle, which is great off-road. Well, with that, you have a huge chain angle, which can feel quite jerky at low RPMs and slow speeds. On top of that, 50 pounds of torque and 75 horsepower is a lot to handle off-road. If you don't have a very disciplined throttle hand, you could easily send a bike off your predetermined line or send a bike completely out from underneath you. But most of the time what will happen is you'll send the rear tire seeking for traction left or right. And as this bike is heavy, that's a lot of weight to manage. And all this is perpetuated by the fact that the bike feels tall. Remember I mentioned the seat height not being really tall from the ground? Well, yes, that is true, but the bike is very wide. She's thick. And being so, you have the sensation that you're a lot taller up than the numbers that you see on the paper. Where this runs into a problem is new riders tend to ride seated and they tend to want to drop a leg. Off-road with such a heavy bike, you could really injure yourself. Look, I don't want to be negative, and by all means, I'm not trying to be a negative person. I just want to make it clear so that people have the proper expectations that if you are in your first couple years of riding, this might not be the right bike for you, at least off-road. In fact, that's exactly how I got mine. It is actually a long story, but the short of it is, basically, I really wanted these, but there were people ahead of me. Then I guess the next guy in line test drove it at a convention. He couldn't handle it. He dropped it. So when the dealer called for him to pick up his bike, when it came in, he was no longer interested in purchasing a bike. Maybe he felt it was too much. Maybe he was scared, whatever. The salesman called me and he was like, you know that bike you really wanted for a while? Well, someone just dropped off and you're my first call. Do you want it? And my answer was, yup. And that's how I ended up buying 2 brand new motorcycles in 2021. So yeah, all that being said, if you have the skills, this bike is a blast off-road. I wouldn't want to take it down any super tight single trail or straight up any jagged rocks. But besides that, you would love this bike and you could take it basically anywhere. My biggest connection with this motorcycle is when I did my moto camping trip, which was 450 miles. And most of the trip was off-road, and not even just off-road through sand. And it was really nice to just have such a beautiful, capable machine. Even packed up with all my gear, the Tenere 700 handled the sand very well. At this point, I really feel the 7/10 scale adventure motorcycle is the way to go. The amount of off-road I want to do and the places I want to go, I would never need a bigger bike. And this bike is so much easier to pick up than like a giant 1250 GS or an Africa Twin. Another great feature about the Tenere is its 21-inch front rim and its 18-inch rear, which makes it feel more like a dirt bike. It crushes over rocks, ruts, anything you point it at. And as of now, more and more amazing tires are starting to come out for the rear 150/70/18, which that's a big rear tire. And I think I was looking at some Motars, and like some of these tires are 70% off-road and 30% road, and still give you thousands of miles. By mixing rubber compounds between lugs, you just have a ton of surface area to work with this bike. So as of now, there are some really viable tire options out there. Who is this bike for? So this bike is for anyone who wants to do a BDR, the Trans-American Trail, or for that matter, any long adventure ride. The Tenere crushes miles, and it has a pretty good sized fuel tank as well. This motorcycle also appeals to a person who doesn't have a huge budget. It's one of the most affordable and reliable adventure motorcycles you can buy. The Tenere is for someone who likes their motorcycles simple. Someone who doesn't want all these computer run programs, traction control, wheelie control, whatever. Some people are completely against those programs because that's more areas in which the bike can fail. I mean, with the Tenere, you get fuel injection and ABS. Besides that, that's about it. It's old school. You're relying on skill, and the bike is just you and the tires touching the road. I feel the Tenere could also be appealing to an older rider. This could be a great motorcycle with the wind protection, the smooth engine revs, the upright seating position. All these combined makes it easier to put long hours on this bike. This motorcycle is for someone who doesn't want to have to do a lot of maintenance every weekend. Reliability is a huge thing with this motorcycle. The Tenere comes with one of the most reliable motorcycle engines you can buy today. Oil and other service intervals are amazing. Oil costs for every 6,000 miles or 10,000 kilometers, and valve clearance checks, oh man, valves. Yamaha recommends you check the valves every 24,000 miles or 40,000 K. For most people, that is years. So yeah, you're not going to be working on this bike a whole lot. Just add in upgrades to customize it for yourself, and that's about it. So if you're willing to put up with the weight and a slightly jerky throttle, you will easily fall in love with this motorcycle. There's no doubt in my mind. One of the major problems is it's very hard to get your hands on one, so I'd say if you want one, go ahead and put your reservation in now and play the waiting game. my final thoughts. So there is a couple takeaways I wanted to make clear in this video. One, as I said, the Tenere is not a beginner-friendly bike, especially off-road. But number two, it's a capable, fun bike that you will completely fall in love with. Anybody who I've ever let ride it, they came back with a huge smile on their face. People just love this motorcycle. It's amazing looks, it's amazing throttle response, it gets up and goes. It's just all around 5 out of 5 stars. And I'm not saying that just because I own the motorcycle. I'm saying it because I thoroughly enjoy the motorcycle. If there was more shortcomings, believe me, I would talk about them here, but there's not too much to complain about. Now I do know Yamaha is offering their new World Raid model, which comes with a lower center of gravity because dual fuel tanks that sit lower on the bike, a steering dampener, a new screen, and a few other extras. The motorcycle is interesting. It does come with more of a price tag, but to be honest, I'm completely happy with the one I have, and I don't really see a reason to get rid of my Tenere for something slightly better. It does everything I want it to do, and since I sold my other road bike, this has become my road and adventure motorcycle, and I have no problems driving it daily. Another awesome thing is this motorcycle feels exciting with the note that it puts out. I mean, just listen to this. Any exhaust you put on this motorcycle is going to sound good regardless. So do your research, that's really up to you. And in fact, I'm using one of the cheapest exhausts you could buy. I was actually recommended this exhaust from another YouTuber, and it sounds great. And in closing, if you're one of the lucky few to get your hands on a Tenere early, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But if you were considering just at the slightest of getting this motorcycle, I would say at least put a reservation on it. And at this point, even if you bought it and you didn't like it, you will sell it for exactly what you bought it for, if not maybe more. The listings for this bike are insane. Well, that's really all I got for you guys today. I hope this video helped you if you're looking for this bike, and if you want to see more content on this bike, I will have it on the channel. So hopefully this video offered you some sort of value in exchange for your time. I appreciate you watching if you stayed this long, and I have respect for anyone that throws a leg over a motorcycle and gets out there and rides. Well, my name is Andrew, and this is Motorcycles Off-Road. Thanks for watching, guys.